We're recording this anyway, so if anybody does miss anything, we'll be sharing a link after the meeting anyway. So I'll start with the annual actions webinar. I don't know if any of you have actually used it yet, but we'll start and talk you through how we would recommend you use it. Someone just give me a thumbs up or something to let me know you can see that screen.
I don't even know how to do a thumbs up, but I can hear it.
Okay.
I can see it.
You can hear us and you can see the Juice screen, yeah?
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. That's what I need to know, just so I know I'm not talking to myself. Yeah, so what we're going to do today is we're going to look through the annual actions, which is something that is advisable to run just before the schools go back and before the new academic year to move all of your young people up a year, either in school years or in age, and also to ask them to re-register to make sure that all your data is up to date. First thing to do probably is a bit of housekeeping before you start this process. So I'm just going to go into my projects down here. And if you just go to your projects, you just want to make sure that you're okay to run auto progression. Why is that always in the way? Sorry, the share thing is in the way. So if you come down here, you'll see that you've got auto enrollment. So depending on whether you run on school year or on age, you can run auto enrollment. We, from our demo, use school year. So we make sure that auto enrollment is enabled for that. And then just go down and make sure while you're in here that either the years or if you run by age, the minimum and maximum ages down here are correct.
For each project.
Yeah, for each project before you run auto progression and re-register. So on our system, that's all fine. So we're going to go back to the Juice settings. Just remember where it is, Andy, under?
Just right, yeah, there we are. Just click on Juice settings.
There we go, Juice settings. I'm just going to make sure that the email is configured correctly to send to the parents for re-registration. So if we go to parent emails on there, go to the parent emails tab and click on that one.
It's the bottom one.
And it's the bottom one. I'm going to look down here because that screen's very laggy.
Click on parent emails.
Oh, I did. There we go. So there we go. We've got all the different email templates here. And if we go down to the bottom, we've got the re-registration email. So obviously, if you wanted to, you can edit this one, change the text slightly, as long as you don't change any of the stuff between the dollar signs. And also, if you wanted to add a logo or something to this, you can. So we're happy with that. So we can now go back to the home page and start the process of auto progression and re-registration. So if you were coming in and you're happy with your emails and you're happy that your auto progression, auto enrollment is all set up correctly, then all you need to do is come over to the apps menu, up in the top left-hand corner here, click on there, go to Juice, and then the menu here, we go along the top to where it says More, and then we come right down to the bottom, and you've got annual actions, and typically it's off the bottom of my screen. So the first one you've got here is auto progression. So anyway, I can reduce that. Can I zoom out?
Minus.
I'll try and zoom out so you can actually see a bit more of it because it's there we go. So you go to annual actions. And if I learn to use my touchpad rather than mouse, go to auto progression. So in here, you've got all of your projects listed. So you tick any of the projects that you want to run auto progression on. So I'm going to tick all of my projects. And what auto progression will do is it will move people up, in our case, one school year. And where this is particularly useful is if you've got a junior and a senior club, maybe the junior club is years 5, 6 and 7, and the senior club is years 8, 9 and 10. When someone's in year 7, if you come in here, you can actually run auto progression and the system will automatically move that person up a year and move them to the senior group. So we've got some options down here. One option is to take no action. The second option is to only remove, which doesn't move, it removes them from the current project, but it doesn't add them to the next project. That can be used if you want to be a bit more selective and manually choose who you move to which project, or it can be used if you want to potentially not move somebody just on school year and age. So if you've got somebody, I know some of our organisations allow slightly older young people to stay in a younger group if they've got special educational needs or additional requirements. So you can use that one if you want to manually choose who goes where. But the most popular option, the one we're going to do here, is, look down here because that screen's too laggy, remove and add, which is going to basically remove the young people and then add them to the project that's relevant for their age from the 1st of September. We come down to here, and we always say 1st of September because that's when the break point, would you say, for ages?
Well, it's the next academic year.
Yeah, so basically if your birthday's after the 1st of September, you'll be in that next academic year. So once we've done all of that, we double check it. It's important to mention, I should have mentioned this before, but before you run this, it's important to check and make sure that everything is as you want it, and double check that you've ticked all the right projects and that you want to remove and add, because the auto progression and re-registration process, they're not easily reversible. So it's always wise to measure twice, cut once, as my dad used to tell me, and make sure you've got everything correct. Then all you need to do is come down to the bottom and click save. Checking changes. Have a slurp of tea while it's doing that. There we go. So that process has now been run and everybody has been moved up a year. So following that, the next thing we would recommend you do is to re-register, and it says in brackets there, after auto progression. So you have to do them in the order that they are here, 1 and 2.
The reason why you do re-registration after auto progression is if you do them the other way round, for those 16-year-olds or 18-year-olds for which this was the last year, you don't want to re-register them. So you do the auto progression first, so they will fall off the edge of what you're offering, and then you then do your re-registration to just those people who are still active.
Okay. And this one's very straightforward. If we go to re-register, all we've got here is a tick box. So if you tick that box and then click save, that will basically, all of your young people then will revert to being pending. And it will send a re-registration email, which is the template we checked earlier, to the parent, and asking them to log in. You give them a link, log in, please check your young person's details, make sure that everything is correct, because we are aware that emails, mobile phone numbers change from year to year sometimes. Also, there may be medical conditions that they didn't have the previous year that they now have. They've developed an allergy or some kind of condition. And it's just make sure that that information's up to date. And once the parent has clicked that link and confirmed that the data you hold is correct, then that young person will then go back to being active again. Save. And that's all there is to re-registration. There are 2 other actions here that fall more, they're not to be run at the start of the year, but they are more sort of housekeeping tasks. There is one, option 3 here, is to lapse 6 weeks after re-registration. So you can run this anytime, but we would normally recommend 6 to 8 weeks. So maybe November time or October half term, or some people will maybe let it run for the full term through to Christmas. But basically what this will do is any of your young people that were marked as pending when you sent out the re-registration email, if they're still pending, as in if their parent hasn't completed the registration form, when you do this, you tick the box click save, and it will mark all of those young people as lapsed. Now, it's important to mention they're still in the system, so if they turn up later on, you can go into the back end of the system and unlapse them and make them active again. And also any data or activities or outcomes, all of that kind of information that's linked to that young person still remains in the system. They're just lapsed, they're not deleted. And so all of the data there remains with them. And the other one, which is a similar task, but we recommend you run it a couple of times a year maybe, is to lapse non-attending. And this is when you get your registration screen, you may have a lot of names on there that never attend. So all you can do on here, you can come in here and you can say, you can choose the number of weeks. So as you can see down the bottom here, it says it's a minimum of 4 weeks. So you can put anything you like, maybe 12 weeks. So anybody that hasn't attended the club for 12 weeks, when you click save, they will be marked as lapsed. And again, as I've said before, you know, all of the data that relates to them, anything that's attached to them will remain in the system, and they will remain in the system and can be unlapsed. But if they haven't attended for 12 weeks, there's a good chance they're not going to. And you've probably got a screen full of names, half of whom don't attend anymore. So it just gets those names off your register and makes it easier for you to find the people that are attending. And that's all there is really to the annual actions. It's quite straightforward. There is another video that I'm planning to record and upload. I don't know if everybody's seen it, but there is a new video help page on the JUICE website, which is juice.software/help. I've recorded about 20 videos so far. So at the moment, most of them go through the steps to onboarding, like organisation info, staff and volunteers, locations, programs and projects. I've also got some of the other tablet view bits and pieces on there, like registration, adding a session, planning a session, evaluation and reporting. There are videos on that. And as I say, I will be adding now other things like annual actions and sort of safeguarding case management. So does anybody have any questions on the annual actions part of that?
Yeah, sorry, I just have one quick question. See, in terms of obviously the auto progression, the way it moves the young people into a different project, does it store the attendance records for the young person in the way that if I was to go back and click on a session, say a young person moved from a juniors program to a seniors program, if I go back to the juniors session, say from 2 months ago, to show a funder the data from that session, does it still show as they're clicked as attending, or does it?
Yes, absolutely. The attendance record will be completely unaffected. You'll be able to see back until you started using the system, all of the attendance records and all the information went in there. And that happens even if you lapse the person, you still got that level of attendance. So if they are auto progress, you've still got it. If they're lapsed, you've still got it. The only instance where that wouldn't be the case is if you start deleting young people. That's when the attendance record disappears. But if you archive or lapse somebody, then they are still in the system and you still have that data.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? Feel free to put questions in the chat or to put or to unmute and ask.
I'll leave that. I'll keep sharing just in case anyone asks any other questions that we need to.
It's worth pointing out one area where you can get unstuck. If you have multiple projects, so you have multiple junior groups and multiple senior groups, there is no way for the system to know which junior groups automatically progress onto which senior groups. So if you have that, contact us and we'll see what we can do to help you through that process. But if you do have, for example, a junior group and a senior group, as most of the organisations do, and one progresses into the other, then this is exactly the right process for that. Any other questions or comments, anything at all?
Yes, just a quick question, and it might be fairly obvious, but if you're obviously we'll be sending out sort of recruitment for brand new young people, would it be best to do the sort of progression before or after we've got our new people?
So
Or doesn't it
new-
matter?
So for new people who are registering as opposed to re-registering,
Hmm.
the assumption would be that they would already go into the right project for them. And the other assumption is that because they've just registered and entered all their details, they should be up to date. So this is more directed to people who are already in the system, where their data could be a year out of date, and obviously
Yeah.
their age will have moved on. This is mainly targeted to them.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have any impact at all on people who you are registering afresh.
Yeah.
So basically, you should be able to treat those as two completely separate avenues, and treat your new people separately from your existing
Okay.
people.
Perfect. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other questions? You got any other feedback
Yeah.
generally? Oh, sorry, who was that?
Sorry, can I just ask one more question just about
Yeah.
the lapse in young people? So you were saying about doing that 6 weeks after the re-registration. I suppose what I was wondering was, does it just lapse anyone that is showing up as part registered then? Because I'm just wondering how that works with, say, 6 weeks after re-registration, but we have, I don't know, say you go to do it, you give a deadline of this Friday to re-register your child, but you have a new child shows up on the Thursday and you send the email home to the parent on the Thursday to fully register their child. Will that lapse them young people too, or is it just the ones that were in the system?
So specifically, the way this works is when you send out the re-registration email, everybody that email is sent to is set from active to pending. They're still in the system and they will still appear on all the attendance forms as if they were active. After 6 weeks, or after however many weeks you want to do this after, all those young people who are still pending because their re-registration form has not been completed, as soon as the re-registration form is completed, they are set as active again.
Yeah.
So for all those people who the re-registration form has not been completed for, and who has not shown up. So if somebody's showing up during that period and the re-registration form has not been completed, they will not get lapsed. It is only those people who have not re-registered and have also
Okay.
not shown up. So it's specifically for those people. They will get lapsed, but it's very, very easy to unlapse somebody who's in that state. Fortunately, Steve hasn't got a keyboard, but if I lean over the table. If you go to young people, you've got young people here, which is all the young people you'd expect. This is all fictitious data. There's nothing confidential here. If you go to archive young people underneath, you see a list of all those people who have been lapsed. And if you want to unlapse somebody, you just go to their record and you edit them. And on the status on the right-hand side, you just change it from lapsed to active. So you've got full control over that status. All these actions are doing is allowing you to do all of these things in bulk rather than doing them on each individual person. But if you do end up with a stray person who is in the wrong category, you can easily find them and correct them.
Perfect. Oh, thank you. That's great.
Does anybody have any other questions to do with Juice, or any feedback or anything they want to contribute?
We've had a question from Nick. He said, nothing to do with annual actions. General question, what are the short, medium and long-term product enhancements planned? Okay, well, we were going to come on to that.
That was going to be the second part of our meeting. So that leads nicely into the second part.
Can I ask a question? Sorry, guys.
Yeah, please.
I know I'm calling you up quite regularly with lots of different questions with Juice. As you know, we're moving from a system that we've used for, I don't know, 20 something years. And so what we're finding is, as we're kind of getting our staff up to speed, they're still at times adding sessions, pen and paper on our old registration sheets. Now, I've found a way to go back in and add those young people to those sessions. But what I've also found is when we try and register young people in almost like backdating the session, and we're trying to add people into that session, Juice does not allow it. So our attendance figures, sometimes we'll have 20 something young people, but our attendance figures is like 15, 16. And I have tried and tried and tried to be able to backdate them. And I go in and do exactly as you show me, type in their name into the archive, add them, but they still don't appear when we try to register them. And the other question I have, it is a pain in the arse having to go in every single time for every session and add your session plan. What I'd like is for us to be able to put in, this is the session plan for that term for the gym. And so the staff, the equipment, all our aims, objectives, all the manual, the monitoring evaluation we're going to do, it stays in there. So then all we have to do is if the session changes, we change it instead of having to go in all the time and add because the session is not going to change every single day, every single week, because we're running sessions daily.
For that, Danny.
Oh, good. I'll shut up.
Solution for that one.
Good.
Yeah. So there is.
I'll mute myself.
That's okay. So when you go to add a session, you've got the option to add a session singular or add multiple sessions. When you go to add multiple sessions, and this might not be the best place to do this, let's see if I can find one which is a bit more empty looking. And therefore, say add multiple sessions, the system says, when do you want to add sessions up until? And I'm just going to basically set this to being the end of the year. And which activities you want to cover in every session. Now we have had a request here to add the aim here as well, so you can set the same aim on every single one as well. There's obviously other things which we can add here, but we can add, for example, football, for example. And if we want to do specialised services as well, we could do that there. We can of course add multiple activities and add multiple specialised services. When you save this, the system will go through and it will create a session for up until that date in the system, which has gone through. Obviously, it's missed out the Christmas break for you automatically. It would have missed out half term here somewhere, and it has also missed out some holidays as well. So the system's gone through and it's put in all of those sessions for you. And if we just double click on those sessions, we can see that the activities that the system has put in there for us is it's put those two activities in there. So we're planning on adding aim as an extra field there, so you can do the aim as well. But essentially you can create a terms worth or however far you want to of sessions all there in one go. And in answer to your first question, which was adding attendances for historic sessions, I think this is something I've spoken to Steve about. And I think if we will look into this offline and have a look and see if we can find a way of doing this better, it is something I have looked into in the past. And I thought we had a solution to, but if it's not working, we'll find a better one.
Yeah, we did have a workaround, didn't we? But I'll catch up with you afterwards, Danny, on that.
Tyler's asking a question. Nick, we will come back to your question regarding short-term, medium-term and long-term product enhancements once we have concluded questions. Let's wait for Tyler to finish typing, no pressure.
Sorry, I was just typing to say that I'm having to leave now because I'm going to a session. I was just typing to say thank you. I'll catch up on anything I miss when you send out the link later. Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Okay, Tyler.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye. Yeah, so the plan is to make this event a monthly webinar for all Juice users. We did this one specifically because the annual actions, we get a lot of people using support and asking for support around annual actions. So we thought this would be a good time to start the webinars. We'll cover that off. But going forward, we're hoping to make this a monthly webinar for Juice users. And we've got a rough format going forward for it. Nothing is set in stone. So if anybody's got any better suggestions, we are open to discussion. But for the foreseeable, Andy at the moment is doing a lot of work. As we get more people on board with Juice, we're getting more feature requests and more and more people saying, oh, it would be cool if it did this, or could it mirror this process? And those are the conversations we really love, because those are the conversations that are helping Juice to develop. So going forward, the webinar will be split into 3 parts. So there'll be, the first part will be Andy will discuss what work he's been doing on Juice and what features have been added and what's going live. the second part will be what he's going to be working on for the following month. And then the third part will be a Q&A, so people can ask questions about some of the features that Andy's talking about, and also maybe, you know, just give general feedback on, you know, things you're finding with Juice, how you're enjoying it, what features you'd like to see. So that's going to be the format. So with that in mind, we'll move on to that format where Andy talks about what work he's been doing on Juice for the last month or so, and what new features are in the pipeline.
So the most recent changes to Juice has been around safeguarding and interventions, and he's got some videos on that. We're not going to show that today because we don't want to overload with information. The purpose of this was to concentrate mainly on auto-enrollment and re-registration, but we just wanted to basically let you know what's happening. So safeguarding interventions has been developed recently. If you want to know more information about that, Steve can give that to you. The items that we're working on in the short term is around one-to-ones, and also around check-ins and check-outs. So basically you can ask people how they're feeling as they're coming in, ask them how they're going when they're going out, and then you can then graph that and you can then see the difference between one line and the other. And then with the one-to-ones, you can also graph and see how they're tracking over time with the questions that you're asking. So that's what's going to be coming up relatively soon. What we're also working on has been around payments. So you can already go into the system and enable payment recording. This is an offline payment method. So basically when people attend a session, you can tell the system how much that session costs. And as they attend, that costs will go onto their account, and you can see those amounts of what their session costs coming in. And you can also mark things as paid. So if they've paid their £1 or whatever at the door, you can mark that, and you can then see that. And at the end of the term, you can go, okay, well, you owe £7 because you didn't pay for 7 sessions, and then you can do that level of reporting. So again, Steve will show that, do some videos, and we'll show that in more detail as a separate session. What we're also working on, so that area of payment is already available, the ability to do offline recording. What we're working on at the moment is the integrations with, and the first one will be with PayPal. We think PayPal is the easiest to set up. It is not the most cost effective to integrate with in terms of its fees, but it is by far the simplest.
I think PayPal have also got some good rates for charities as well, haven't they?
There are charity options available. So basically what will happen is you'll be able to click a link and it will send the parent an email with a link in it where they can go and pay what is outstanding for that young person. So that's kind of what we're working on at the moment, but there'll be a lot more to come. But those are the current what we're currently working on.
You had a question from Nick about short, medium, and long term.
Yeah, the medium term and the long term list has not been fully decided, but what we do is, as people make requests, it all goes onto one list, and it's basically whichever items are getting the most attention end up at the top of the list. So the short-term ones I can tell you is what we're currently working on. I can't tell you necessarily what's next because it will be judged by what people are asking for, but your feedback is crucial because you govern what reaches the top of the list.
This is why it's great to get feedback, because it genuinely does make a difference. I think most of you, I think I've onboarded most of you in the call, and I think one of the things I always say is that, you know, Juice is quite a young product. It's still developing all the time. So we don't want to sort of dictate what we think you need. We'd much rather hear from you guys, you know, what you need from Juice, what would be cool if it did this, if it did that, and develop it that way. You know, it was developed, I think I'm pretty sure it's the only piece of software that's been developed specifically for the youth sector. And, you know, it's because of that, it's growing rapidly. So we want to continue to develop it. And that's where we need your feedback and your comments. So don't ever feel that that you're kind of talking to us, or even if you've got a frustration, let me know, because I can feed that back to Andy, and it all leads into, and I think Cheryl will vouch for that we've done quite a few little bits and pieces, just minor tweaks for your system that make it much easier for you to use, Cheryl, haven't we? So yeah, your feedback is crucial, so keep talking to us.
Any other questions or feedback before we wrap this up?
Okay. No, okay. It's good to see you all. Thanks for joining us. I know some of you have got summer clubs running and people on holiday and whatever, so I know you're all very busy. So we won't take up any more of your time. We'll give you a bit of time back to crack on with your work. And like I said, we'll set up the one for next month. I haven't got a date for it yet, but as soon as I have, I'll send it out the same way I did this one. You'll get an email with a registration link, and we'll make this a regular thing. And hopefully next month we'll have more people back, and then hopefully we can start setting up a bit of a kind of a juice community then, where we can, as well as talking to Andy and myself, we can perhaps talk to you and get your feedback from, you know, your experiences, and you can share them with other people in the group. And hopefully by doing that, we all kind of move forwards. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Cool. Good to see
Thanks
you all.
a lot, guys.
Take
See you
care.
soon.
Very much. Take care.
Bye.
Cheers, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Just